Yeah, crime, Miami-Dade.
All right, we're back in the office like we never left with a special guest that saved democracy in the city of Miami. Oh! We have Emilio Gonzalez.
As recently as last night.
Night
When the Third District Court of Appeals once again turned down Miami's appeal.
Oh yeah.
This was late last night. If you remember, we won our first trial in June, and then the city appealed, and then we won the appeal, and then the city appealed the appeal.
Right.
And last night, the judges ruled that they're not going to hear their appeal, that they have no grounds to appeal, and that they need to move on. Unfortunately, and I say this unfortunately, because the city still has one more card to play, and that is going to the Florida Supreme Court. The Florida Supreme Court would have to agree to hear the case, but having failed twice before the District Court of Appeals, I don't see how they could win that if it got to there. They may not even listen to the case. But it sort of begs the question as to why do they continue to do this? Why spend taxpayer monies?
That is the point where
and if you look at the history of, it's a very brief history of this election cycle. The Attorney General warned the city in writing twice, don't do this. The governor chimed in twice in writing, concurring with the Attorney General. 4 judges have told the city of Miami, you have committed illegal and unconstitutional acts. Why do they continue doing this?
And whose money are they spending?
My money. They're spending my money twice, because I'm paying my lawyers and my taxes are paying the city's lawyers.
Correct.
And I'll go one step further. Okay. Yesterday, late in the day, not at night, late in the day, we won, and the court issued its decision. At about the same time, down the street from my house, a friend of mine owns a building, and I have a very large banner that says, Emilio Gonzalez for mayor on Coral Way. If you're on Coral Way, you can't miss it. At the same time that the court was issuing right after the court was issuing its ruling, the Department of Code Compliance was issuing a citation to my friend's building for having a sign that was too big. With all the problems they can find in the city of Miami, the timing was just rich. Yeah.
Lovely. The Bay has someone coming out, but they're focused on your sign.
Of course, it's the size of my sign. Yeah.
So I wanted to go a little bit back. I wanted to get to know you more. I did my research, and you have an amazing resume. But I wanted for you to talk a little bit about yourself. You were born and raised in Miami?
No, I was born in Cuba, but I was raised in Tampa.
In Tampa.
Yeah, I left Cuba when I was 4 years old, and my family settled in Tampa because my father and my grandfather were in the tobacco business. And if you recall, back then, Tampa was the tobacco capital of the United States. So all of our family connections were in Tampa. So that's where I was raised. I went to college there. I went to the University of South Florida. I graduated young. I was 20 when I graduated.
Oh, wow.
And then I decided to join the Army because I thought it would be a fun thing to do. My parents were horrified, absolutely horrified. And I liked it. And my first assignment was in Hawaii. And I had a wonderful time. I never looked back. 26 years later, I retired as a colonel. I taught at West Point. I worked at the White House. I mean, these are things that, immigrant kids don't usually get to do these things. And I did.
You did.
So I'm very fortunate.
And then you were the director of immigration.
Correct. So my last assignment in the Army, uniforms assignment, was at Southcom. So we just settled here, right? And then from there, I went to work at a law firm. And because I had been very active, and I had worked at the National Security Council at the White House with Condoleezza Rice and President Bush, I was asked to come back and be the immigration director. So I went back to Washington. I served for 2 years as the immigration director, and then I came back to Miami.
So you're the immigration director for 2 years.
Right.
Then you came back to Miami and you were the director of the airport.
Right. So I started my own. I worked actually for an international Spanish company as their CEO. And then I wanted to just start my own consulting firm. Don't ask me why. I just thought it sounded cool. I'm going to have my own consulting firm. So I had my own consulting firm for a couple of years, and then the county mayor asked if I would, become the airport director.
Which who?
This would be Carlos Jimenez.
Carlos Jimenez.
Right.
He asked you to become the director of the
Of the
airport.
airport.
You were there for 4 years.
Almost five.
5 years.
Almost five.
You worked with our beloved Ralph Coutier.
I worked with Ralph Coutier. Yes, Ralph Coutier was
your favorite person.
Yeah, Ralph was one of my assistant directors. He was the assistant director for maintenance. I know him very well.
So I know you. I don't know if you noticed the airport is not in the best condition right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's every director has their priorities. That airport is in a lot of needs.
It does.
And one of the things, and I don't want to defend anybody. People can defend themselves, but in just about every major airport in the United States, you can grow, right? That airport is right in the middle of Miami, so there's nowhere to grow. So the only way you can make improvements is to make improvements on top of existing infrastructure, and that's very difficult to do. And that airport has grown by leaps and bounds. I mean, I think we're over 50, maybe even 60 million passengers a year. It's a huge operation. When I was there, it was probably the largest economic engine, or one of the top three, between Miami and Washington. It is just an animal of economic activity there. So I did that just under 5 years, and quite frankly, I accomplished everything I wanted to do. My big thing was, and you see it today, Miami has always been a north-south city, right? The capital of the Americas. All of the airlines would always just fly to South America. And I thought, well, why do we do this? Why can't we be a true global gateway? And I spent 5 years meeting with CEOs, convincing them that Miami was a place where they needed to fly. So as a result, you now have airlines from Ireland, you have airlines from Qatar, from Turkey, you name it, Austria, Morocco, Emirates. Those are, each one of those planes that comes in is jobs for our community. And we truly have become a global gateway. And I'm very happy that I played a small part in that.
But okay, maybe when you were there, the airport was in a better condition, but right now it's falling apart. Like, we were there last week, and como lo cubanos, hace falta una buena limpieza.
See, yeah, mira, one of the things that, listen, like I say, you can only have one airport director at a time. But one of the things that I always found to be helpful, the most helpful thing that the airport director has is that he has his own budget.
Okay? Correct.
The airport budget does not appear on the county budget. The airport raises its own money. Okay, that's the most helpful thing. In my time, the most unhelpful thing was the Board of County Commissioners. And I say that in all sincerity, because it was very difficult to get anything done, because everybody wants a piece of the action. Everybody wants to know. I'll give you an example. If I have an opportunity to do something, some initiative, and I go before the commissioner de turno, right, whoever the airport committee is, all they wanted to know was, who's your lobbyist? Well, why does that matter? But you then found out very quickly that the airport is the largest economic engine in the county. The airport is the gift that keeps on giving, and lobbyists do quite well representing the airport. And the county commission, and unlike other places where airports are living, breathing ecosystems of economic activity, and they leave it alone, right? If it's not broken, leave it alone. Here, if it's not broken, let's break it. And that's unfortunate, but that's the experience that I had. Now, luckily, we've had new commissioners join the commission, but much younger people with different outlooks. But when I was there, it was very, very difficult to get even the most minimal thing done.
So then from the airport, you went to become the city manager.
So what happened was, I had told myself, and in fact, you can ask my staff, but whenever I go into a new job, I always use a paper, that butcher paper flip chart, right? Well, there, if you see old photos, wherever I've been, I have an old-fashioned flip chart, and I write down everything I want to do as the head of that organization. I've been very fortunate. I've been the head of every organization I've worked in, and I put them down, and every time I accomplish one, I put a line through it, and as soon as I get to the bottom, I'm gone.
So you do like goals, and then when you're done doing your goals, you go to the next.
Go to the next one. Or sometimes I do 2 or 3 at a time. And when I was in Washington as the immigration director, of my staff was mortified because I had like 15 things. I have employees. My secretary actually kept my chart as a puerdo, because once I hit the bottom one, it's time to go home. And I did the same thing at the airport. And my priorities at the airport were to expand our reach, to make it a truly global airport, to bring in additional international carriers. The money is in the international air carriers. Okay. And then I realized that once I had completed my last goal was to bring in El Al, the Israeli airline. I had worked for 4 out of the 5 years I was there, was working to bring El Al into Miami. And we did it. And just before I flew to Israel to come back on the inaugural flight, I'm done. The only thing that was left to do, which is being done now, is infrastructure, is construction. I'm not an engineer. That stuff doesn't excite me. It may have said other people, but it doesn't excite me. So like everything else, cumpli, and I moved on.
So you left the airport.
I left the airport with the intention of going on vacation. I hadn't had a vacation in 6-7 years. And then I was asked to be the city manager.
By Francis Suarez.
Correct. And I thought, that might be kind of funny. And it turns out that I still think to this day, I think I'm still the only city manager that lives in the city.
I heard those rumors.
Yeah.
I've heard those rumors.
Yeah. I actually am the only one that lives in the city.
So how could they still be there? Or supposedly there's some commissioners there
It's not a requirement that you live in the city to be a city.
In Miami-Dade, yes. In Miami-Dade, the commissioners have to be living in their districts.
Correct. But I'm not an elected office holder. So as an appointed office holder, you don't have to live here.
Ah, so I did también Seno?
Yeah, of course.
I will buy so you were there in the city manager because Francis Suarez put you there.
Correct.
You were there for how long?
For 2 years.
Why did you leave?
I left because towards the end of 2019, my wife got very, very ill. My wife ended up at the hospital at Mount Sinai. I won't go into any details, but she was in very, very bad shape. Very bad shape. And as luck would have it, it was while I was taking care of my wife that certain commissioners decided that would be a great time to terminate me as city manager. But I resigned.
You didn't terminate. You left.
I left. Yes,
because your wife got.
My wife was very, very sick. Yes, and by the way, she's been off and on. She's had her health issues, but yeah, that was the main issue.
And then during that time, you dedicated yourself to helping your wife.
I did. So what happened was I left the city in February of 2020, I believe, and remember that's when COVID hit, right? So everybody went home, and I stayed home, and people started asking me if I could help them out doing some little consulting here and little consulting there. And I said, sure, I could do this. So I kind of, did some consulting from the house. Remember, we were all locked up then. Nobody was working anywhere. And then that summer, an old friend and colleague of mine who lives in California called me and said, oh yeah, I just bought an asset management company and I need you to be part of the team. So I said, yeah, I could do that. So, but I'm not moving to LA. So I'm a partner in an asset management company. It's headquartered in Los Angeles. I work out of my house in Miami, and I've been there ever since for 5 years.
And then from there, you were thinking about running for mayor?
I would actually no. I would.
That was
not,
never your
I
plans.
was that wasn't on my bucket list. But what had happened was, if you recall, I think it was last year. There was always something that Miami was in the news for, right? It was like a lawsuit, a settlement.
3 years, I think.
Yeah, a settlement, a lawsuit. I ended up testifying in a lawsuit that was brought against a sitting commissioner, and people started calling me and saying, "Oh yeah, you need to think about doing this. Nobody knows the city better. We need somebody with your background, with your integrity," and it just sort of percolated, right? And then earlier this year, I went on a business trip to Tokyo, and fascinating city. Tokyo is a city of 15 million people, and everything works. Everything works. And I thought, why can't we have nice things? So I talked to my partners on that trip and said, hey, look, I'm thinking about doing this, and I may have to resign. And they go, oh, no, we don't want you to resign. No, we want you to do it. We'll help you. So I said, fine. So I came back in April the 9th is when I filed.
April this year.
Of this year. And then shortly after I filed this, when I found out that they wanted to cancel the election.
You think it was because of you?
I hope so.
Do you think they had it planned already, or they thought you join in as a candidate?
I think it was percolating somewhere, and it wasn't until I decided to join in that somebody made the decision, oh yeah, we better pull the trigger now.
Because Emilio's here. Oh.
I would think.
Oh, you never know. Everything is possible, right?
Yeah.
So I know in your resume, in your background, in each job or each position, you've been there for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So my word is, if you become the mayor and you do your list and you accomplish everything, will you leave in the 4 years?
Well, first of all, I have to be mayor to make the list.
Okay,
right.
but let's put like.
But one of the great things about being the mayor is that you do have a shelf life. So it's either 4 years or 8 years. It's not like you go into a job and say, hey, I'm going to be here for 15 years, or I'm going to be here for a lifetime. I will be the mayor of this city so long as it takes me to turn this city around and to make this city viable, to make this city work for all of its residents and not just for a few, and to change the whole vibe, if you will. I was walking, I'll be honest with you, this morning I was walking a neighborhood. And as I walked into small businesses, everybody would tell me, the city's a mess. Hay que cambiar esto. Esto no sirve. And then forget about walking other neighborhoods and having people say, hay que sacar los delincuentes, eso de ahí. I mean, we really have I will tell you, a reputational crisis, if you will.
Very true.
We have a reputational crisis. We have a governability crisis. And what does that mean? That means that our residents don't trust their elected officials.
Right. Yes.
They think that the elected officials just sit there and pass these laws, and it's almost like a predator state, right? They had a book with that title, A Predator State. We're the prey. Okay. We're the ones that have to deal with code when somebody, tells them their sign is too big, or you parked your car the wrong way, or all these other things, that I consider the code department to be, a de facto comité de defensa. Okay. Because no matter what you do here or there, and I'm thinking to myself, isn't there anything important doing? The election issues is perfect example. Don't you think with all the problems we have, the city is shouldn't be wasting all this time, energy, and money in trying to perpetuate themselves in office? And by the way, they can dress it up, but it really is a power grab. But we now have, and I told folks this, I used to own a boat. And if you have a boat on Biscayne Bay and you look at our skyline, oh man, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. You go 5 blocks in and people are struggling People are working paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
People have high mortgage payments. They have high rent payments. They have huge real estate taxes to pay.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying a lot for childcare. They're paying a lot to take care of abuela. Some of them are paying a lot to take care of childcare and abuela.
Yes.
And Miami's getting more expensive. You know, the cost of living here is increasing, and the salaries aren't. Our young people are graduating from FIU, from UM, and you know what? They're not staying here.
They're not.
They're leaving.
They're leaving. Yeah.
They can't afford to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's sad.
Because I think the mayor that there is right now, his focus is to make the city of Miami the next Dubai.
Well, you know,
With bringing all these businesses, bringing all these headquarters.
Right, but you know, one of the wonderful thing about Dubai is that Dubai has oil wealth, and the Emir of Dubai can pass it around, and everybody in Dubai is flush with cash,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody in Dubai has really nice homes. And by the way, a few people in Dubai actually work. All right.
Yeah.
They bring in foreigners to do the work. So yes, it's great. Let's all be Dubai. But you know what? Until we get there, people got to eat. People got to live.
And we need to do something about the homeless.
And the homeless.
There's a huge increasement of homeless in the city of Miami.
Let me touch on that first, and then I want to talk about something else. For many years, almost for decades, the city of Miami was under a court order called the Pottinger Agreement, and you should research that. And apparently, it was a person named Pottinger that sued the city of Miami decades ago because they said that the city of Miami was mistreating its homeless, and that the police was running roughshod on this homeless population. So the city reached an agreement with the ACLU and this person Pottinger. It's called the Pottinger Agreement, which laid out a list of things that the police department could do and not do with regards to homeless people. And this thing was in existence, I want to say, for over 20 years. When I became the city manager, we had a homeless issue. I thought, man, this is right. So I actually went to court to sue to get out of the Pottinger Agreement. And the ACLU was against me. I actually had to convince our own attorneys to join me in this. And we won. And we won. And we were able to control our homeless issue. The problem we have is that in a lot of places, and listen, I suffered that where I live, you know, homeless people can do whatever they want. And it's like nobody wants to, you know, get their hands dirty metaphorically, you know, no, okay. If you take this person here, the ACLU will see, so what? But it's almost like crime, you know, where people worry more about the criminal than they do about the people who've been preyed upon. And it's getting worse. But again, Mercy, this is a leadership issue. And that's why I go back to when I talk to people, when I talk to businessmen, they tell you right now, nobody's in charge. Nobody is willing to make a decision. Departments don't work. The commission is out for itself. And everybody's walking around like, eh. Now, if you happen to be one of these tech bros and you're willing to come in and you know, build out 5 stories of a building on Brickell, then you're okay. But the rest of the people are kind of on their own. And so what I want to do is, you know, essentially one is reputability, governability, right? Let's make the city function again. Okay. The other thing is it's affordability. Okay. I use that word specifically. There are a lot of things that we can't do for our residents. Like I can't build you a house. Okay. I can't pay your apartment. But what I can do is sort of work around the edges to have you have more take-home income, to live a better life, to afford living here. How do we do that? I'm a big proponent of Governor DeSantis' elimination of property taxes. I think it's a great idea. I think it's an excellent starting point for a discussion on how destructive property taxes can be. Okay. To his point, you could own your home, but if you don't pay your property taxes, the government takes your house. Therefore, you never own your house. Ever.
Even if you pay off your mortgage.
Ever. And then kind of as a subset of that, because the values are increasing and not keeping up with the salaries, if you happen to own your home and you bought it for $100,000, and 25 years later, when you pass away, that house is worth $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids aren't going to be able to inherit your home because they'll not be able to afford the property taxes that are now attached to that value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the property tax issue, I think, is huge. If we could find a way to eliminate or lessen by whatever percentage of homesteaders having to pay property taxes, I think that's more money in your pocket. The average cost of childcare for a working family is probably between $12,000 and $15,000 a year. A year. So what happens is people are working from payday to payday. Maybe one spouse is staying home to take care of the kids, which means that there's only one income coming
in. Yeah.
And the chances of that family ever being able to move out of middle class is gone, because you're always going to be that low wage, one income family. Imagine if we could provide some relief with childcare. Okay. So imagine if on the other end, you need somebody to take care of abuelo because you have to work.
Mm-hmm.
Can we provide relief there? The first thing that I did when I announced that I was running for mayor is say that the minute I get sworn in, I'm going to call the governor and I'm going to ask him to send the Florida Doge team here. So why is that important? When I left being the city manager 5 years ago, our city budget was about $1.5 billion, roughly. This year's city budget is $3.5 billion. That's a $2 billion increase in 5 years. We also, if you remember back when Mayor Regalado, his last year, we passed that $400 million resiliency bond. We also got $130 million from the federal government during COVID. Okay, where is that?
Mm-hmm. So you're willing to do an audit, and you're
not willing. I'm going to do an audit because, in the best of circumstances, okay, $3.5 billion. If things are tight in your household, you sit at the table with your husband and you say, we got to cut back.
Mm-hmm.
We need to cut back 10%. We cut back here, we cut back, but you do it. Imagine if we did that in the city. 10% of 3.5 billion, that's $350 million. You know what we could do with $350 million? And imagine if we were, daring and cut back 20%. That's $700 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could get a lot done.
A lot. Yeah.
But right now, it goes back to that our residents don't respect our government. They think they're all a bunch of thieves. They think they're in it for themselves. They don't know where the money is.
Correct. Because they trusted Damien Produm, and at the end he turned their back. And then they brought in Ralph, thinking that Ralph was going to help them.
His back.
And he I like Ralph, but I think Ralph needs to learn how to say no. No. He has to be, I think.
Listen, I'll be honest with you, since we're mentioning names here. I don't know Ralph Rosado. I've never met him. I always had very good reference about him.
Yeah, I do too. I have met him.
And he's a very credentialed human being. But the fact that you could aspire to elective office often and then finally get there, and your first act, your very first vote, is to cancel an election.
But that also brings, I think he did it for attention, because no one goes out to vote.
No, but let me get to that. And then his second vote is to extend his own term. So the issue here is very noble. Okay. Oh, we need to get people to vote. Mm-hmm. Therefore, let's have elections in our even years. Okay. I've read the city charter. City charter was sort of our Magna Carta. When I was the manager, you go by the charter. The city charter lays out when there are elections, and the city charter lays out what your term of office is. Anything that's beyond that has to be approved through a referendum, and it wasn't. Okay, it just did porque me dio la gana. Okay, en términos cubanos, lo hice porque me dio la gana, and that's what it was. Now, when the governor of your state and the attorney general of your state tell you in writing, oye, Mercy, don't do that. Mercy, if you do that, te voy a caer arriba. well, yeah, you would think that somebody would at least pause and say, well, yeah, let's talk about this. Let's defer this item. What's the rush? Why are we doing this? What's behind this? I don't know. And then there's another thing that people need to consider, which they haven't yet. I have no problem with moving elections to even number year. What that's going to do, though, it's going to possibly increase turnout, but it's going to decrease the quality and number of candidates. And I'm going to tell you why that is. Because let's just say in 2028, pick a date, we'll have an election. It's an even numbered year. Well, that year, there's a presidential election. There's going to be elections for Congress, elections for Senate, elections for everything. And then Mercy's running for city commission. You're going to appear on page 14 of that ballot. How much money are you going to raise that year running for city commission when all these other heavy hitters are fundraising? Zero. So you know what that means? That means that the only people that are going to be able to run in those races are going to be all of these tired, rehashed politicians that have big PACs, that leftover money that are just sitting there and they have nothing to do in their ward and they're going to jump in. And then that cycle is going to repeat itself because that name that went away, a few years ago is back.
Is back.
Okay. So I think we need to be very clear about what we're getting in all of this. Mira, I went home the other day. There's a CBS truck in front of my house. And a journalist puts a mic in my face and says, hey, I was just with Commissioner Pardo, and he is writing legislation to make even number year elections starting in 2030. I said, okay, that's reasonable. But everybody who wins in 2025 serves a 5-year term. So, ¿qué ganamos? I'm suing the city because they want to have a 5-year term. The city charter says 4 years. Change the charter, then we have that conversation. I actually said, I have a better idea for you. Instead of me serving 5 years, I'll serve 3. And we still get back to an even number year. Oh, I don't know about that. That could be. So again, listen, I think that the idea is very noble. I just don't understand what's the rush. What's the impetus? What's behind this? You would think that in a city like ours, where we have affordability issues, we have flooding, we have crime, we have any number of problems. We have a huge reputational issue. Hey, let's steal an election. What a great idea. And even though the governor and the attorney general said, no, let's do it anyway. Porque me dio la gana.
Has DeSantis done anything about it, or they just send a letter and that's it, or?
Well, they're letting this play out, right?
Yeah.
The attorney general has sent his opinion twice in writing, and the DeSantis has twice publicly in writing said, hey, I agree with the attorney general. And he's also made some public statements when he was asked. In fact, he even made a statement that he had the power to remove them from office. But here's another one, Mercy. The city charter, which we all love now, also says that if anybody commits an unconstitutional and illegal act, they must resign their office. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. That the attorney general,
the court just not.
Yeah.
The attorney general, the U.S. District Court, and the U.S. Court of Appeals have all stated in writing that what they're doing is illegal and is unconstitutional. I'm waiting. As far as I'm concerned, as soon as this thing is final, whether it goes to the Supreme Court or not, everybody there who voted for this is an illegal elected official.
So their seat right now is in hot waters.
It could be. It could be. It could be. But unfortunately, what the charter also says, the same way the charter says you have to leave office, it doesn't say who forces you to leave office. Okay? Because they're not going to volunteer to say, oh, man, I messed this one up. I'm going home. No. Somebody's going to have to enforce that aspect of the city charter. I believe the language is if you willfully violate in an unconstitutional way the city charter, you must vacate your office.
Yeah. Esta novela is getting long. Esta Netflix series is getting too long for me. And a lot of money spent. A lot of money. I know you're going to court with these attorneys.
That also negates Damien Pardo's proposition that we're going to do this and save money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how much are we going to save? About $800,000 a year. Really? How much are you spending on this trial?
Correct.
How much are you spending defending other commissioners who have been accused of any number of misdeeds?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it doesn't make sense, and it goes back to my original question: why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why now? Why period? Why? If you really want to get more people to vote, you know what you do? You take some of this money that you're spending on lawyers and you establish a civic campaign and you encourage people to vote. And before every election cycle, you start putting commercials out there saying, if you have to vote, you have to vote, you have to vote. And that is actually much more cost effective, and that is actually much more direct.
Mm-hmm.
But I consider myself a learned man. I'm not convinced that Miami is going to fall off the edge of the earth if we don't go through all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And we still don't know how much this has cost.
Yeah. So there's another, I don't want to ask you because I know you've been going to court with 6 attorneys. And so everybody wanted to know where you're getting that money from.
I have not received an invoice yet.
Okay.
And when I get an invoice, then I'll deal with that.
Because they're saying that Francis Suarez is helping you with the. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But I wanted to ask you to make it clear. Wait. Francis Suarez is paying your attorney fees.
Why?
Yes or no?
Wait a minute. This is worthy of me asking. Why would he do that? I'm suing him, right? I'm suing the city. But the answer is no. No.
Has any of the candidates, the 12 candidates who are running, has anybody supported you?
No.
There's been a Democrat saying that he's been supporting, he's been going to, I don't know, do you want to say names? Ken Russell, I saw it. He's done it. And I had someone telling me that he knocked on the door saying that he's been helping you. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense because there's a Republican and a Democrat.
Listen,
and Ken Russell's running for mayor. Why would we help him?
Listen, nobody has
reached out to you,
called, texted, emailed. Everybody sat on their hands while I did this all by myself.
Okay, say it one more time. The people in the back.
Everybody sat on their hands. Nobody offered to help.
No calls. No.
Or worse than that, somebody that is running against me actually sent out fundraising texts. Happy about how democracy won, we had an election. Please.
The same one who wants to charge $10 more for the Metro Rail. Yes. Sí, ¿viste cómo yo sé?
Sí, yo sé. Pero te digo que, listen, I've even had friends of mine, by the way, I'm getting support from a lot of Republicans, a lot of Democrats, and a lot of independents. And I've had a lot of my Democratic friends tell me this is disgusting. You know, the person had absolutely nothing to do with this. None. Oh yeah, not even a press release. Hey, we support Emilio.
But they did do a poll, and she is has the highest
but that's
numbers.
But that's her poll.
Correct.
And when I can do a poll and I'll have higher numbers. So it's all relative.
So no one. We just have to say it one more time clearly because I get this all. No one came up to you. No candidate has given you any donations. Have gone to court, has asked you to do any help?
Let me back up. One candidate, and I'm going to tell you his name is Michael Hepburn. He's an African-American young man.
Oh, yes.
Michael reached out to me early and said, hey, way to go. And he also said, look, if I could help you, I could, but I don't have any money in my campaign.
He's really honest.
Okay. So I corrected myself.
Okay.
But the major candidates, if you will, not one. And then they use the victory to their advantage. Correct.
That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
Sorry for the word.
No.
That's what makes me so upset. I'm like, what did you do
while I was duking it out in court, while I was doing everything I needed to do to save this election, you would have thought a press release, or even a text that said, hey, Emilio, way to go. Nothing. I like numbers. We all talk about this guy, Zoran Mamdani in New York. Mamdani, that's his name. Okay, this guy is a self-avowed Marxist. Okay, es un comunista self-declared. Okay, by the way, a privileged one, that went to prep school and has a nice house.
Yes.
Okay, New York City had its primary, and their election is going to be I think it's the same day our election. Their general election in November. No Republican wins in New York. This guy won his primary with 9% of the registered voters showed up to vote. 9, and he won 40% of that 9. Okay, that's how important showing up to vote is in this election. Okay, no voter should be sitting on their hands this time. If you're really that upset, if you're really that mad, if you're genuinely concerned about the future of our city, then show up. And by the way, and I've told many people, I'm not ashamed to say this, don't vote for me. You don't have to vote for me, but at least show up. Show up and make your voices heard. But don't sit back and do nothing. And then when a convict gets elected mayor of Miami, or a socialist gets elected mayor of Miami, oh, ¿qué pasó? ¿Cómo puedo pasar? No.
No puedo votar.
Sí, hay que salir a votar. That's a functioning prerequisite of a democracy. You have to show up.
Another question. I have a whole bunch of questions. We're going to get to tomorrow. I don't know if you're in a hurry. Buscame más cafecito. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Got manager ready
I'm on a roll. I don't have to be anywhere right now.
But I wanted to ask also about the DDA meeting. The DDA, I've been seeing a lot of arguments back and forth. A lot of residents are very upset. The politicians and the board meetings keep on turning their backs. As if you become as the mayor, what will you do for the DDA?
I think that the residents have already spoken. The residents have all signed petitions that they want out of the DDA. If they want out, they should be out. Period. And if that at that point the DDA can't handle them not being able to tax all those residents, then we abolish the DDA. Look, if you take a look at Miami all of a sudden is a conglomerate of many cities. You've got the DDA, you've got the Bayfront Park Trust, you've got the Omni, you've got this. All you're doing is you're overlapping government, and I'm all about diminishing government. The DDA has its own group of lobbyists.
Yes.
And
the same lobbyist is the one that goes to Hialeah, goes to everything.
So I don't get that. You go to Tallahassee to look for funds for the city of Miami, and you run into the lobbyists for the DDA. No. These things this is not common sense.
Right.
Okay? But it's almost like everybody wants to be in charge of something. Everybody wants to be a mini mayor. I want to be the head of this. I want to be the head of... No.
So under you will stop the DA.
I will let the residents decide what they want to do.
So you will take it out for a vote.
Absolutely. And they should opine.
Mira, escucha, Jane Torres.
No, they had a straw vote. They even suggested to the commission, how about just a non-binding straw vote to kind of gauge the sentiment? And the commission said no. Come on. That's not how democracy works.
Yeah.
And I will grant you that the DDA, for whatever good they're doing, they command some of the highest municipal salaries in the county. You've got people there making more money than the city of Miami.
Yeah, we saw that on Thursday when the residents were like, "How come she's making more money than the mayor? Not even the commissioner sitting next to her doesn't make that much money."
Exactly. And listen, I feel the same way for the Bayfront Trust. Okay, why can't that be part of the Parks Department? And you save yourself all of this infrastructure, and all that money goes into the general fund of the city, or it goes into the park fund. Okay, no.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to have those conversations first.
Yeah.
One of the things that I tell people when I speak is, I can have every conceivable good plan for the city of Miami. I could tell you that I'm going to discover the cure to cancer tomorrow in the city of Miami, but none of that stuff will get done unless Emilio Gonzalez is the mayor. Because if you look around at all the other candidates, nobody there is capable of pulling this off. You have candidates on the far left. You have ethically challenged candidates. You would have people that want us to go hug a tree every day and build more bike lanes in the traffic. And we need common sense.
Yeah,
we need to bring it back. I'm not saying we need to go backwards.
No, I know. But we need to
bring it back. And you know what? Sometimes it's healthy to be the pothole mayor. Sometimes it's healthy to worry about your residents. Sometimes it's healthy not to worry what my international image is.
And we need someone that can support small business because
Absolutely.
they're struggling out there.
Small business is beyond struggling. Small business feels like they've been abandoned. They feel like they've been targeted, that they are a target of opportunity for the powers that be. Okay. Look, another thing that I will tell people, whether they like it or not, the next mayor is going to have a relationship with the governor and a relationship with the White House. Nobody running has that. I have a relationship with our governor. I have a relationship with the White House. I actually served on the president's transition team. I know how to get stuff done. I know where to go to get stuff done. I know who to see to get stuff done.
The calls, doing the calls.
Nobody else could do it. You think that a liberal Democratic mayor is going to have any chance whatsoever of making their case?
Yeah.
They're not. So again, this is for me, this is not a vanity prize. It's not a trampoline for higher office. I'm not interested in being ambassador or whatever. I'm not interested in being secretary of this or of that. I'm here to be the best mayor I could possibly be for the residents of the city of Miami.
There's also some organizations in the city of Miami that their funds are frozen. There's one called Circle Brotherhood.
Right.
There's Survivor Pathway. I don't know if you heard of them.
Yes.
And they need help. It's an amazing organization that doesn't get answered from anybody. Are you willing?
I hear that all the time. No, nobody gets answers. Nobody makes a decision.
So are you willing to sit with the
and you know what? I'm willing to sit with everybody, but before we do that, I want to be able to see how much money I have. I can't offer people money that we don't have. By the way, 75% of the city budget goes to pensions and salaries, which means that our disposable income is actually quite limited. So let's see what we have. Well, yeah, let's see what it is we're spending on that we don't need to spend on. What are our must-haves and what are our nice-to-haves? Okay, and a lot of these NGOs out there, they do great work. Some of them maybe not so much. Some of them maybe should be getting any money. But let's sit down and have that conversation. You're not going to have that conversation with anybody else running. You're not, because they're all smarter than everybody else. They already have their plans. I'm going to build, 10,000 new affordable housing units. I'm going to, work on transportation. Oh yeah, what have we done on transportation?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the homeless.
Since I've been living in Miami, we've been talking about a metro rail all the way down to.
Me too.
Yeah.
All my life I've been living here in the metro every year.
We can't make we can't even get a line to the beach. Okay, so don't sit there and tell people that you're the transportation wizard or you're the affordable housing wizard. Here's another thing. Because of where we are, Miami is a mecca for the homeless. And I'm not being funny. No other city in this county has a homeless problem except Miami. Why? Because they sent all their homeless to Miami. Okay, and then they'll look you in the face and say, oh, well, it's because you have all the services. No, why don't you offer the services? Why does the city of Miami get this largesse? So that's a conversation that needs to...
That is very interesting that you're saying that, because Homestead is trying to, the past, let's say, 3 years, trying to open a VA hospital. They had to collect signatures from the residents to show to the board meeting that they really want to do that. And it's funny that you just said that it is in City of Miami. That's where Camila's house is there. Everything's there.
Mira, I did when I was a manager, I worked with my my human services director, and I did it wasn't supposed to be a joke, but they thought it was a joke. Find out how much it would cost for me to rent out an entire motel in Coral Gables. 50 rooms, double occupancy, for us to send our homeless to Coral Gables. ¿Para qué fue eso?
I'm pretty sure the mayor got very upset.
Well, the mayor didn't call, but the word got out, and I was getting calls from people saying, how dare you talk about sending homeless to Coral Gables? No, but it's okay to send them to Miami. That's okay. That's spying. Okay? But I think we need to have that conversation. It's got to start somewhere. And these are the things that again, I tell you that I'm willing to have these conversations. but you're going to find people that are running that are going to sit there and say, vote for me because I'm going to fix the traffic problem. Oh yeah, I'm going to fix the flooding problem. I'm going to...
This year, no one talked about hurricane to prepare for hurricane. Thank God we didn't get, well, so far, we haven't gotten anything.
But forget hurricanes. If we get a light rainstorm, Brickell's underwater.
Yeah.
And Brickell is supposedly and it is our financial center. You know, that Brickell downtown area is really the living, you know, lifeline of our city. Now, a lot of people don't want to hear the fact that Brickell is almost at sea level. Brickell's built on a swamp. And there are so many things that you can do. Listen, I had a chance to visit the Netherlands as the manager, because Holland, the Netherlands, they've done incredible amount of work with regards to flooding. In fact, 20% of the Netherlands is reclaimed land from the North Sea. But some of the things that they do are pretty draconian, right? Like, you want to build a seawall that's 35 feet high, then people will say, well, I don't have a view then. Or do you want to put these humongous gates on the Miami River, they'll open and close? That's another thing, because we have pumps, right? And the pumps pump the water out. Well, because we're almost at sea level, you pump the water out, then it comes right back up through the Miami River. If you wanted to put up a seawall, you'd have to go out like 50 miles. Because if not, the water will go with gravity. It'll come around. It'll come around. So, but again, let's have those conversations.
Yes.
Don't promise that I'm going to fix this. Or I have a better idea, or no te metas because I know more than you. Or when it comes to things like affordable housing, all of a sudden it's somebody's brother-in-law that gets the contract, if they even build affordable housing.
Correct.
And we went through that. Okay, we've gone through that once before. But again, listen, this circles back, Mercy, to all of our needs revolve around the issue of governability. Who's in charge? Who's going to make decisions for the majority of our residents? Who's got their interests in mind? Who's not interested in running for higher office? Everybody is interested in running for higher office, which means that when they make a decision or they take a vote, in the back of their mind, they're thinking, ooh, am I going to piss off this group? Ooh, is this group going to like me or not? Or how much money can I get for my PAC from this group if I vote this way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's what we're seeing. And that's what
we're seeing it, and even in Miami-Dade and community commissioners. Yes.
Yes. And but if you don't have any interest in doing something other than this, you make the right decisions. There are two Democratic members or candidates, Ken Russell and Eileen Higgins. Both of them have, while serving in elected office, aspired for another elected office. Okay. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they're really not interested, that they're only using their current elected office as an opportunity to run for something else.
Right.
Eileen Higgins was reelected. By the way, she's my commissioner. She was reelected. And 3 months later, she decides she wants to run for mayor. She's going to leave.
The same thing with Ken Russell. He wanted to
run for senator.
He wanted to gain Michael
Rubio's position. Ken Russell, to his credit, Ken resigned. He resigned to run for senator. Eileen hasn't resigned. So
she's still
getting paid, and she's still, fundraising. But my point is, she's going to leave over 3 years on the table in elected office. What is she telling her residents? You guys don't matter. It's about me.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm looking to extend my shelf life, another year or 4 years, or whatever the case may be. That's not how it's supposed to be. Okay. This is supposed to be, to a certain point, elected office, because of all the responsibilities and the time you put in it, it becomes a sacrifice. It's not a sinecure. Right. And that's exactly how people are treating it. I'm going into elected office because I want to be rich.
Right. And the city of Miami is the richest city. We have the Miami Freedom Park. We have the Marlins. We have all these headquarters coming.
There was a time when, people sort of made their bones in private industry or what have you. And then they wanted to give back. Right. And you brought back a unique set of skills and experiences, like life experiences, business experiences. And that's how you gave back. But now you have people that want to just start right off the bat into elected office because I had dinero.
Same.
Okay, I'm going to get rich.
I know why Francis Suarez still wants to become mayor, because he wants to enjoy Miami Freedom Park. He wants to change the city hall. So he wants to. No, they already built an office over there in Miami Freedom Park.
Oh, the city hall is going over there.
Over there.
Yeah. So when I'm elected mayor and we dedicate Miami Freedom Park, I'll be happy to invite Francis to be there with me. That's fine. That's not a problem.
Que le cae atrás Messi.
Me and to Messi.
But I mean,
But if you become mayor, will you still be doing that change or changing the city hall over there?
well, it may be a done deal by the time that happens.
maybe.
It may be a done deal. The city,
And then the city hall is going to become.
remember that we used to have a building on the river, the Miami River
Yes.
Center.
Yes.
That's going to be demolished. Okay, so those are the Miami does need working office space. So that's what this particular construction is over here at Nomi.
And what's going to happen with the city hall? Is it going to bring it down?
No, the one on the water there.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's a historical building. There'll always be commission meetings there, and you know.
Supposedly they wanted to make it as a restaurant.
It
I would like to be
yeah,
a museum.
It used to be an airport.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And if you go inside, you see some beautiful, Art Deco airplane things hanging up. Some things you can do and some things you can't. But like I said, no good idea will ever see the light of day unless you have a good mayor and you have a good leader and you set the example and you set the tone and tenor of how this city is going to function. Because right now it's not functioning.
It's not.
It's not. And people tell me it's not functioning and you can't get anything done. And businessmen would rather move to Broward or expand in Broward than expand here. And that's almost a universal statement, which I'm sorry to say.
No, but it's the truth. Me as a small business owner, I have a lot of clients moving up to Lehigh, to Palm Bay, and it's because they can afford living here.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, our values, our property values have increased exponentially over our income. Okay, people don't make money here. This is not a high income city. All of those tech jobs that come down are very targeted, right? So you bring down, you open up a new tech hub and you hire 200 people. Well, that's fine, but our needs are more than 200 people.
Yeah.
We also have, and this goes to, I think the mayor's been very good about, becoming the city's chief marketing officer. People move from all over the place, right? If you are a tech bro, for lack of another term, and you're living in San Francisco and you're paying $10,000 a month for an apartment, and you can do that here and have a waterfront view and pay $8,000, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, and no taxes, and no Florida taxes. So great for that guy or that gal.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anything for the rest of the people in the city of Miami. Okay.
So I have my last question. I promise. A lot of seniors DM me and they wanted to ask you if there's any way that you can work with them in the sense that they want to stop the taxes for the school boards, that they still get taxes for the school board. Is there any way they could change a law or do something where you can work with them after 65 to stop that tax?
Listen, I'm willing to look at that. I pay that same tax. The other thing, listen, it's the same thing with the school tax, right? Like if you send your kids to public school, to private school,
right?
You're still paying the school tax. I think there's a lot of things that we can do for the seniors. There are a lot of seniors that have been living in their homes for decades, and for whatever reason, they can't fix the roofs. Okay. We were talking about inheriting a while back, where if some of these seniors were to pass on, it's not like they know that their house will be in good hands because it's going to be taken over by their granddaughter. No, their granddaughter's probably going to have to sell that house because she won't be able to afford to pay the taxes. So to your point, the whole taxing regime is something that I think the governor has started a wonderful place for that conversation, but we can work that down. Let me tell you another one. And we've been doing some of the math. If you look at the ad valorem taxes that the city of Miami homestead owners pay the county, right, when we get our big county bill, I think that for the city residents, the city homestead owners, I think that number is probably about $120 million. Okay, what if we found $120 million inside that 350 that Doge said we don't need? We could actually pay the city residents
Mm.
ad valorem tax. So it really, again, listen, I'm into numbers now. I'm a partner in an asset management company. It really comes down to how you spend your money. Okay, Miami is not a poor city, but we've been very poor at how we spend our money.
Yes, because we have a spending problem.
We do. We don't have an income problem. We have,
We have
a
a
spending problem.
Both of them, Miami-Dade and City of Miami.
And what happens is, because everybody else running against me is not interested in solving the spending problem, because when you solve the spending problem, you're going to piss somebody off.
Correct.
Okay, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
And that's not an elegant word, but you're going to piss somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so the answer then becomes, if you're going to piss somebody off, at least do so knowing that you're helping a greater number of people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's what I say all the time. If you're gonna piss someone off, piss them for the right reason.
Yeah, listen. if you're not pissing somebody off, you're not doing your job. But listen, it sounds almost trite, but nobody is going to sit here and tell you they're going to do A, B, C, and D. Elect me, and I'm going to do all these things. No. Elect me, and I'm going to see how much money we've got. And then we're going to see what we can do. And then we're going to prioritize. And maybe I'll reach out to Mercy and say, Mercy, I want your advice. How do you think we should spend this money? What do you think? What do you think on this list is money that's probably not well spent? Which of these organizations are probably not doing a good job? And you know what? And you start 100,000 here, 300,000 there, million here. Look at how much we're spending in legal defense.
I know.
Wait,
with that money, you could do maybe 4 shelters there.
That's disgusting. That's appalling. With that money, I could build 5 daycare centers, early learning centers,
or a shelter for the homeless.
Exactly. So look, don't tell me that you want to save money, okay, by moving this all. No empieces ahí, okay? You want to save money, and you elect Emilio Gonzalez mayor, and let's see where our expenditures are, and let's tackle those expenditures, and let's not be afraid to tell somebody, you know what, you've been on the public teat for 25 years, but next year, no, because there's no return on this investment, okay? Because we can take money from here and help more people here. That's my story, and I'm keeping to it.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming. I know you have a busy schedule. I feel the energy of your kind. Give
you the eye.
I know. He's like, ¿hasta cuándo es esto, Mercy? Where we're done. But thank you so much for coming. And are you planning any other events?
Oh my gosh, am I ever? I've got all sorts of events.
Well, let us know we can tell our followers to go on us. We can go visit you guys.
Oh, I would love to have you there. That would be great. Yeah, listen, it's people are energized. People are excited.
They are.
People, my phone never stops. People are constantly calling. Oye, ¿cómo puedo ayudar? Cuenta conmigo. I mean, it's heartening. La verdad, it's very humbling to have all of these people, see in me what they feel needs to be done, and not be afraid to do it. And if I have to attract attacks from high and low, sometimes high and very low, I'll do it. That's fine. But somebody has to do it, and it's got to get done.
Yeah, it has to get done. ASAP.
Yes. We have no time to waste.
Si no, City of Miami is going to be another third world country here in Miami. Between Hialeah and City of Miami,
we'll reach a point where we'll stop being a city. We'll be a very colorful ethnic neighborhood in the county. At some point, we won't be worthy of being a city. Think about that.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad. For me, it's very sad, and it's very personal. That's why I joined in Miami-Dade today, because I'm born and raised in Miami, and I want to see a beautiful Miami. I want to see it better, but lately I've been seeing it
going backwards,
and I see that the rich only cares about the rich. They don't care about the middle class, and they don't care about the homeless. And I want to. That's why I want to bring the candidates that I think are the right ones to help me with this goal that I want. I went to the City of Miami on Thursday. Eso está. Vaya. I left there with my. Vaya, you know what the perfect word to describe it in a nice way. The increasing of homeless is the whole street. The whole street. There was people using the bathroom, taking a shower in the middle of the streets.
Yep.
So we need someone to help us with that issue.
Cuando Emilio González gane, se acabó el relajo. That's all I can tell you. Se acabó el relajo.
Despertarse a las 5 de la mañana, military hour,
Oye,
así.
En este momento, Miami es un relajo.
Mhm.
Especially for our residents. Our residents don't respect our city government.
They don't.
They really don't.
They disrespect them and it take us it's like a joke, you know?
Exactly. Es un relajo. And that's got to stop.
Y Miami se está vendiendo los developers. Ese es otro problema que es que Miami, el condado y las ciudades están vendiendo los developers.
Sí.
Y ahora se va a aprobar el día 3. Están haciendo... hay un problema en Miami, que Miami en definitiva es una ciudad, es una vieja con colorete.
Sí.
Entonces, tenemos muchos problemas con los alcantarillados y con las fosas sépticas, y están aprobando ahora construcciones con fosas sépticas. Es decir, estamos mirando el siglo XX.
Sí, porque se están dedicando a todos los nuevos edificios, los condominios que valen $10 millones. Y yo entiendo que eso también atrae dinero. De ahí viene el tax base, ¿no?
Mm.
But you have to have a balance. You can't just ignore the rest of the city, or for that matter, use the rest of the city as prey. You know, all they do is they want to fine you, they want to tax you, they want to find a way to sacarte dinero. And then they sit back there and want to clap and say that they're for democracy and they're for good government. Stop.
Y Miami se está vendiendo los developers. Ese es otro problema que es que Miami, el condado y las ciudades están vendiendo los developers.
Sí.
Y ahora se va a aprobar el día 3. Están haciendo... hay un problema en Miami, que Miami en definitiva es una ciudad, es una vieja con colorete.
Sí.
Entonces, tenemos muchos problemas con los alcantarillados y con las fosas sépticas, y están aprobando ahora construcciones con fosas sépticas. Es decir, estamos mirando el siglo XX.
Sí, porque se están dedicando a todos los nuevos edificios, los condominios que valen $10 millones. Y yo entiendo que eso también atrae dinero. De ahí viene el tax base, ¿no?
Mm.
But you have to have a balance. You can't just ignore the rest of the city, or for that matter, use the rest of the city as prey. You know, all they do is they want to fine you, they want to tax you, they want to find a way to sacarte dinero. And then they sit back there and want to clap and say that they're for democracy and they're for good government. Oye, no. And oh, by the way, what am I running next? What am I running for next?
Yeah.
Mark my word. Everybody up there is running for something else. Okay? Esta gente no acabaron con simplemente decir, you know who I really respect in that regard? I'll tell you right now. And I say this because he's a friend of mine. Manny Diaz, the former mayor. Manny Diaz became mayor of Miami. He had never run for office. He became mayor of Miami at a pivotal time in our history, el tema de Lian.
No, sí.
¿Te acuerdas?
Sí, sí.
Okay. Manny served 2 terms. And you know what he did when he finished his 2nd term? Se fue para la casa. He's a lawyer. He has a law practice down in Brickell. You don't see him wanting to be an ambassador. You don't see him wanting to do this. No, Manny Diaz did his duty,
Mm-hmm.
and he went home.
Así se me estoy fajando con René García. So you're commissioner from Senate for Senate Commissioner, y ahora va a correr for Miami-Dade.
Decide. You know, why? Tell me, why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a fair question.
I always ask him.
Pero
de
verdad, de todos,
Sí.
Manny, whether you like him or not, pero Manny Diaz served 8 years. He se fue para su bufete. He's got a law office there. So nice. Como si nada. A very, very unassuming guy. Okay? Pero there are not too many like him. I plan on being like him, having that model. I'm going to do my duty, and I'm going to go watch my grandson play basketball.
Mm.
Nosotros tenemos una cancioncita que se llama Las sillas del poder.
¿La qué?
Las sillas del poder, que van girando de una de comisión de la ciudad al condado, el condado a la ciudad, sonado.
Mira, tiene.
Yeah. Crime. Miami-Dade.